Let's dive deep into some tech today, huh? We're going through Andrew Kagan's, what is it? Random technical news you can possibly use.
The what?
Newsletter from January 24th. You know, the stuff that you might have missed but probably shouldn't have.
Exactly. Like everyone's talking about the big flashy stuff, but this is the stuff that's actually going to, affect your work.
Right, exactly. And we've got a ton to cover today. We're going to hit Azure, quantum computing, the whole 9 yards. Ready to jump in.
Let's do it.
Okay, so first up, Azure? This ultimate intra-internet access guide with the pretty dramatic protect your business NWA, all in caps. Is it really that dire?
Well, yeah, kind of. Every time someone logs in, that's a potential door, right? Intra's like your bouncer at the club, but for the cloud.
Okay, so like more than just a password.
Way more. Multi-factor authentication, codes from your phone, maybe even biometrics, and conditional access policies. That's where it gets really smart. It's like, hold on, this login's coming from a place we've never seen before. Better double check.
So it's making sure it's really you, even if you are who you say you are.
Exactly. Plus, it helps you set up rules for who can access what. Which, with all the different kinds of data we're dealing with these days, that's pretty essential.
Makes sense. And we've got Azure Files Provision V2 Overview. V2 doesn't usually scream exciting, but
this one might save businesses a good chunk of change. Like we're talking up to 30% on storage costs.
Okay, now that gets my attention.
Yeah.
Especially as we're all, drowning in data these days.
Exactly. And speaking of data, we can't forget Azure Developers Live. Tons of info there. The Data API Builder update, that one's huge for developers.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
It's basically drag and drop API creation. Think those website builders, but for connecting different parts of your application.
So like way faster development.
Way faster. And that means getting new features out quicker, more efficient integrations, you name it. Pretty impactful stuff.
Got it. And over in the Microsoft 365 world, we've got this maturity model. What does that even mean for the average person using like Word and stuff?
It's more about how your whole organization is using Microsoft 365. Think of it like levels in a game. The higher you go, the better you're using all the tools like Teams and SharePoint to collaborate, communicate, automate.
So basically squeezing every ounce of productivity out of the platform.
You got it. And then there's a couple more things that sound super techy but actually matter for the end user too, like the WinUI community call. That's all about making apps look and feel more modern, smoother.
So that's where those slick new designs are coming from.
Exactly. And then the Logic Apps integration with Graph and SharePoint APIs, that's behind the scenes stuff, but it makes workflows way smoother, less clunky, less manual work.
Okay, that sounds like a win. Now onto the Power Platform and Dynamics 365. This whole too simple or too complex debate about Fabric and Power BI, that got me thinking. It could be hard to find that balance in data visualization, right?
Totally. You want the power to do complex stuff, but also the ease of use, so anyone can understand the data. It's like photo editing. Sometimes you just want a quick filter, other times you need the full Photoshop control.
Right. And how about those Power Apps updates? 6 new controls in Canvas. I bet app builders are happy about that.
They are. It's like getting a new set of Legos, More pieces, more possibilities. They can get even more creative with designing how their apps look and function.
I like that analogy. All right, shifting gears now to DevOps and SRE. Russ is having a moment, right? Why is everyone suddenly so obsessed with it?
Rust is built for speed and security, which is kind of everything these days. And the big thing, memory safety. It pretty much eliminates a whole category of nasty bugs that can crash your program or create security holes.
So the language itself is watching your back.
Exactly. It's built to be more reliable from the ground up.
And speaking of reliability, it seems like software development in general is getting more complex. Event-driven architecture, AI-powered coding with GitHub Copilot, smart ephemeral environments. Are we just making things harder on ourselves?
It seems like it, right? But these things are all about speed, reliability, security. It's tools for building better tools, ultimately.
Tools for tools.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. All right, now for the AI explosion that's happening, this roadmap for becoming an LLM engineer. That was interesting. But honestly, LLMs still feel kind of mysterious to me. Like, what actually are they?
Think ChatGPT. That's powered by an LLM. It's the brain behind it, the thing that can understand and generate human language.
So it's not just a chatbot.
It's like a super smart intern who can write, translate, answer questions, even if they're open-ended or kind of weird, and it does it all at warp speed.
Wow. So even if we're not all becoming LLM engineers, we can still use this stuff. Like that Windows Devs Rejoice article, that was cool.
Right. Building local AI is getting easier, which means you don't always need a giant cloud setup to experiment with it. And there are tons of resources popping up to help people learn. That ChatGPT-X Power BI tutorial, for example, or the guide on understanding deep learning.
So it's not just for, like, super geniuses in a lab anymore.
Nope, it's getting democratized. And while LLMs are definitely stealing the show, remember there are tons of data tools out there. My experience switching from Power BI to Looker article, that's a good reminder that there's no one right answer.
Right. Different tools for different jobs. Okay, now this one sounds like sci-fi. LangChain, new W agent UI with memory, knowledge, tools, and reasoning. What in the world are these AI agents?
Your AI assistants on steroids. Think of an AI that can actually learn from its interactions, use external tools, even reason through problems, like a much more autonomous, intelligent AI.
Okay, that is pretty wild. But while we're getting excited about all this cool new stuff, we can't forget about security. And the cybersecurity trends for 2025 and beyond report, well, it's not exactly reassuring.
Yeah, it's a little scary. AI-powered attacks are on the rise, which means phishing scams are getting more sophisticated, malware is getting harder to detect, and hackers are even automating attacks.
So, like, even the bad guys are using AI now.
Exactly. It's a cat-and-mouse game, and we need to keep getting smarter. On the plus side, there are resources to fight back. That free AI cybersecurity playbook from CISA, that's a great example. But tools aren't enough.
Right, we need people to use them. And that cybersecurity hiring article, that highlighted a pretty big problem.
Huge problem. We just don't have enough skilled cybersecurity professionals. So yeah, it's a people problem just as much as a tech problem.
And people are the weak link in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Like with that ransomware being spread through Microsoft Teams voice calls.
Yeah, that's a new one. It's all about social engineering. Hackers are tricking people into giving them access just through a phone call.
So basically, always be suspicious. Okay, enough doom and gloom. Let's talk learning and certifications because it seems like that's more important than ever.
For sure. And the Azure Masterclass V3, that's a great place to start if you want to get into cloud computing. It's broken down into bite-sized chunks, so it's not overwhelming.
And for the coders out there, that guide on mastering Python's built-in statistics module is a good one. Always good to keep learning new things.
Absolutely. All right, let's wrap up with some big picture industry trends. The IoT 2024 in review really shows how everything's getting connected.
It's kind of mind-blowing, right? Smart homes, wearables, factories, cities. It's like the internet is everywhere.
And with better connectivity and data analytics, that's only going to accelerate. Then, of course, we've got quantum computing. Still feels a bit like Star Trek, but with that new quantum R&D center in New Mexico, it's clear that serious money is being poured into it.
It's definitely not just a sci-fi fantasy anymore.
Nope. And it has the potential to change everything. Medicine, materials science, AI. It's a whole new world.
And while we're waiting for that quantum future, we've still got to deal with the present, right? Like that whole debate about nuclear power, that's heating up again.
It's complicated, for sure, but finding sustainable energy solutions is crucial, and all options have got to be on the table.
True. Okay, last but not least, this was a cool one. Hugging Face, shrinking down AI vision models to run on your phone.
That's huge. More AI right in your pocket without needing constant internet access. AI is becoming even more integrated into our everyday lives.
It's pretty amazing to see how all these different areas of tech are evolving and like feeding off each other.
It's definitely not just about keeping up with the latest gadgets anymore. It's about understanding how tech is changing the world and, asking the bigger questions.
That's a great takeaway. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. And be sure to check the show notes for links to all the stuff we talked about. Until next time, keep exploring.